If, like me, you were born in the war without the technology, well, there was a radio, but that's about it. Your Christmas presents were usually the annual that referred to the comic you read. In my case, it was the Eagle comic. In the comic itself and in the annual, there are all sorts of practical things for you to do. You made balsa planes from cutting things out just from plans. And I remember I saw how these plans worked out, and what came out of my head just before I was 13 was that I could adapt these plans to suit making a canoe. So in fact, with a little bit of advice from the East Coast fishermen who lived down our street, I cut out all the different plans to make this two-man sailing canoe. And a friend of mine helped me trundle it along to East Park Boating Lake, and the park superintendent gave us permission to sail this huge canoe with a sail on it across the lake. These practical skills are practiced by almost every child in African villages. They just literally take bits of whatever they can find and make things out of them. So if we did our own African Eagle annual, you could probably get a lot of these kids making the most wonderful things out of basic stuff that's lying all around them. My first taste of the idea of Africa would be Mallet Lambert Grammar School in Hull in 1954. The headmaster gave out the hymns and the readings, and for whatever peculiar reason, when he read out, where's the effect of feeding the poor? That's our duty. When he read that out, I can only say I had a, I can feel it, you see. I had a sense of vocation to Africa, so intense, it never left me. Whatever was in me was uppermost all the time. The idea of getting rich through manufacturing soft drinks, I had absolutely no interest in at all, which of course disappointed my father. The idea of having a big salary in a Jaguar, which he let me drive, that didn't appeal at all for some reason. It just didn't turn me on. I suppose I read a lot of books on Africa and missionaries and what they tried to do and what they got wrong, what they got right. But I wasn't put off it. I was seeing through the study of arts and crafts and what Africa had produced through the years, which was far better artistry than we had in Europe. I kept seeing Africa's strength, not weakness, riches, potentially, not poverty. But of course it took many years before I was even given the chance.
These are major changes in community care, but planning is going ahead well, and it remains the government's intention.
Eventually, through a series of all sorts of things going wrong,
It is not universally accepted by anyone.
Maggie Thatcher had closed the big mental hospitals, one of which I was working in as a psychologist local to Beverley. And as they closed, people in the team decided we'd like to have a community-based therapy unit. And I found premises, but the NHS wouldn't let us do it, pulled out on us. So at that point, I turned it into an arts and crafts cooperative. That's really where And Albert started, with I think initially 11 people in this one big building, all doing different arts and crafts. And then eventually, within 1 year, I think it grew to 23 businesses. There was a huge amount of success at the time, which was late 80s. We did so much alternative stuff from home and abroad. Everybody sought us out for a present that was different, and that expanded very rapidly. With success comes more responsibility to look after your suppliers, both at home and abroad. And in this case, workshops set up in Africa, and altogether there were 26 countries where we'd done our best to support village arts and crafts at whatever level. buy them with fair trade principles, sell them through our shops, which quickly expanded. In fact, we got to 10 high street shops with a lot of turnovers, 1.5 million turnover. But we needed capital to finance the workshops, to produce more goods so we could expand or keep the expansion going or pay our staff. So the pressure was on for me to gain capital from banks or venture capitalists, and I failed. And then some professionals said, what you've got is so powerful, what you're doing is so great, why don't you float on the alternative stock exchange? But it cost us more to do that than we took in. So it was just a downward spiral. It was the wrong move. I was left eventually pushed out of my own business. But by that time, we had done all the due diligence to create a solid ethical foundation to actually help the villages and the people who were producing the crafts, because that's all I was left with. I think it would have killed me to stop, because I would have carried the burden of thinking that having got improvements happening, just to stop it dead was wrong. And so I endeavoured to carry that on an absolute shoestring. When all this started, the motivation seemed to be we could buy lots of wonderful arts and crafts and sell them in our shops. And that was meaningful at the business level. But you can't leave it to middle classes fancying an African pot, because there's no future in that. You've got to follow it all up with other ideas. What's this village?
I'm in Narbonne.
As we go through all these different villages, they're almost all indirectly or directly connected with rivers.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So if we start this whole process of having trading boats going up and down their rivers into the lakes near their cities, it just opens up so much. You've got all the practical things that guys can make in the villages that could be sold in the cities or even exported, like I've been doing for 20 years. Basically, it's value on the people and what they produce. It's value on their land. And that's the fascinating thing, that you come into Ghana and you've seen an area probably bigger than Yorkshire, and it's not explored. The bushland itself isn't explored for all the variety of fantastic plants and fruits and trees and nuts. Things I've eaten out there just from walking a few kilometres are just fascinating, wonderful things. I know they've not been discovered. But as the vision grew of that it was much more powerful a thing, I have got the impression from family and friends that they probably thought I was a little bit mad. I suppose it's putting all the components of my life together. If you put all these components together, it's like I'm a one-man information ideas person. And we all like to be valued, and quite often I haven't been valued at all. Certainly losing what I thought was an excellent ethical trading business was a big shock. It was an even bigger shock losing my son.
After crashing his van, Simon Murden walked half a mile or so up the A63, where he was very quickly surrounded by armed police officers.
After baton rounds failed to stop him, Simon was shot 6 times using live ammunition.
Simon was... He was the least anally retentive guy I know. When he came to Africa, everything turned him on. He saw the humour in it. He's full of spontaneity, which we often lack in the West. We're regimented. We're virtually oppressed. We're virtually living in a police state but don't know it. We're virtually brainwashed to buy this, do the other, have to have this. Simon saw through all that so clearly that whilst he's in Africa with me, he was just making these kind of comments which I understood fully was him grasping this different world, which was a better world than back home. Here, what is the main thing is a sense of identity, a sense of being part of a community. Right from the smallest child to the oldest man, there is a satisfaction. I'm afraid it is going to be quickly eroded. It's already happening, even here. The kids are picking up that they should be consumers too. And the way the advertising is going, right from their cities and televisions, to me, it looks like 50s America and 60s Britain. It's like telling you've got to have this to be a member of the society almost. You can't stop that. You've got to all the time bring it back to the reality of they've still got their African choice about their African heritage, which is precious. Don't give it away, whilst at the same time using some of ours to help them along. Revolutionary for Africa. Everywhere I went, and it's been 22 years now. I believe Simon would have been a strong leader in Africa. I'm now getting to be a weak leader, but I am a leader. And I've been following old slave routes. And Simon is part of that still. I can't get rid of that idea. The West is not best, Africa is best. So having lost even a sense of where I was going, what I was left with was components I valued, because I thought I've been given these components almost as a gift. I've been allowed to find these places. I've been allowed to find these people that you could trust over 15 years. And all that, to me, I see it as something I was called to do many years ago, and it's something that I'm still working out.
Oh, I like that. Their faces are lovely. Oh, wow.
Putting it into practice is difficult because everything seems to be against you doing it. But when you look at what can be done, basically it's a conservation project for people and for the land. But if we get them to value themselves and the land, then motivation goes from, well, we can't do it, to, wow, we're really excited about doing it. I'm just so caught up in the fact that Africa is powerful at this grassroots level. It's what we've forgotten. It's this community grassroots level. We've forgotten that. As they develop it in their pace, there'll be no looking back. I think they'll grasp it, and then they'll be up and we'll be down. Yes, I like that. Yeah, we see everything there.
David, I know him when he was rich. He was in business, and business brings money. And he have a heart to see those who are crying to smile. He is ready to give what he have. And sometimes, even when he doesn't have, he tries to give what he can give. I remember last year, he was sick, and his urine had to pass tube, and he was wearing a shirt on top of that tube, but he made that trip. I like the man, he never gave up.
When and if will I stop? I'd like to think I've got 10 more years in me, but at 71 I'm beginning to creak a bit.
Yeah, but you look at it, what really hurts?
Water and Yorkshire tea and things like that I've got to have fairly regularly now, whereas I used to have it with long gaps in between. I would prefer to think I won't stop until the project is really going ahead, fully, at every level. What's this?
It's a filling station. But we are now in Cameroon airport.
Oh.
So to come and cross this, we'll get
Get the first one. Could talk about where they want to be and where.
This is airport.
Okay. Finish after the next one, we're stopping for ice cream. And we're not having a big argument about which colour you want.